So what I wanted to do just for a couple of minutes is I'm going to go ahead and give you just a very quick high-level overview of what's actually a pretty simple policy in its makeup. While it's a very new technology that we're talking about here, we are actually building on a policy mechanism that's quite well established here in New York as a way of incentivizing environmental and clean technologies, and that's a property tax abatement. So as Assemblymember Carrroll, I think, alluded to, and Senator Jackson did as well, as you saw from these companies, these are real companies, and they represent really a subset with an interest in New York of a much larger, rapidly evolving sector, a potentially future trillion-dollar sector. And New York, because of the leadership of NYSERDA, of Governor Hochul, we're taking a lead and taking important steps to really capture the mantle as the carbon tech capital. Some of you may have seen this article in the New York Times Sunday magazine over the summer. And this phenomenon or these developments have been reported on in multiple outlets. And so what we're excited about is how do we actually make these happen in the urban environment, particularly in New York, to not only create economic opportunity, but solve our emissions problems. So when we talk about carbon tech, there's sort of three buckets really that are relevant here for this policy. These are technologies that pull carbon out of the air, like NOIA and air capture, as well as several others. Companies and technologies that utilize carbon dioxide. Air Company is one that you just heard from, as well as what Glenwood Mason is doing right now, is taking carbon dioxide and making it an ingredient in concrete, locking it away forever in concrete blocks, the sort of perfect circular carbon application, as well as technologies within buildings that prevent carbon from going up into the air. So the carbon that was used in the Glenwood concrete is captured at a facility in Midtown Manhattan using Carbon Quest technology, preventing that carbon dioxide from going up into the air. So these are the sort of buckets that we're talking about when we're talking about the kind of carbon tech that would be incentivized through this policy. And again, carbon tech is a very rapidly evolving field. The companies that you saw today are, again, ones that have a New York footprint or plan to. But every day, if you follow this, there's new companies and startups that are coming to market. So let's make sure that they come to New York State. A key part, in addition to the work that Fred is doing, and we also have a new incubator that's being launched at Columbia University, thanks to Governor Hochul's leadership. In addition to those efforts to try to cultivate and support companies on the supply side, what really helps is to create demand locally so that those companies can actually have local customers. That's what's going to help not only get those systems into buildings in New York, but it's also going to help bring those companies and the jobs and the economic value to our city as well. So what we do is this is a straightforward property tax abatement, again, very similar to earlier policies that Assemblymember Carrroll, that's where we first partnered, is very acquainted with. We do it already for solar. We've been doing it for about almost 20 years. It's been key. I come from a solar background, a key ingredient from really creating a market for solar in New York. Assemblymember Carrroll went and passed a battery property tax abatement, which is an essential real piece actually of the electrification of our grid and the achievement of our own local city climate goals, and also for green roofs as well. So we're taking that same idea as giving a tax credit for building owners to help defray some of the cost of installation and operation of these units. And this, again, is very similar in structure to those other PTAs. This is a 20% property tax abatement for the total installed cost of systems placed in buildings. It caps out at $100,000 a year. It can only be taken once as a PTA, but we split it up over a 4-year period, that 20%. But again, it's capped for particularly large systems that have a application in larger industrial sites. That's extended to an 8-year period in a maximum $800,000 abatement over that 8-year period. This would be eligible for systems that were placed in service for January 1st of this year, so it would be retroactive for that.